deserve to have the best physical, mental, spiritual, Zealous Wellness with Mike Hollis.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Zealous Wellness with Mike Hollis. Man, we've done a lot of football this year already. We've gotten a lot of NFL football games, and I'm going to talk today about, it's a little twofold, but people making an impact in the NFL. Enormous shout out to Mr. Cam Little of our wonderful Jacksonville Jaguars for hitting a record long history and longest field goal in the NFL history of the NFL, 68-yard field goal yesterday against the Raiders. So Cam Little smashes it like 4 seconds left in the first half. He smashes a 68-yard field goal in that game. And really where I'm going with that is like he's now of course in preseason he hit a 70-yarder. I don't know if you all saw that or not, but the guy's got just a cannon for a leg, and he's kind of a skinny guy, so it's kind of unassuming. But he kicked a 70-yarder in preseason, but they kind of just blow that off and kind of brush it under the carpet because it doesn't count. In other words, it's because it's a preseason game. It's not officially in the record book, so that kind of stinks. But he did, yesterday make the longest field goal in NFL history with the 68-yarder. So that one officially counts. So I had a 59-yarder in preseason. I'm like, yoo-hoo, look at me, and now these guys are just crushing it like 70 yards. So back then it was pretty cool. But again, my 59-yarder was in preseason. So if you look me up and Google me and Google my stats, you won't see a 59-yard field goal as my longest. You'll see a 54-yard field goal when I was with the Buffalo Bills. So I didn't quite have the leg that these guys these days do, but they're definitely making a name for themselves. And that's kind of I'm going to pivot right there and say, Cam Little has made a name for himself as the current record holder. 68 yards, that's going to be a tough one to beat. That might hold for a while. I'm thinking 66 yards, with Justin Tucker a while ago would be a tough one, but 68 yards is a tough one to beat. So my point is he's made an impression as a name in the NFL is Cam Little, and what people don't realize, and this is really the moral of the kind of the nutshell of what we're going to talk about tonight is really what happens to NFL players when they finish up playing football. It's kind of brutal, honestly, in a mental way, and we'll go into a lot of the details about it. But it's kind of on a serious note because we do have suicide prevention lines, and I mean I'm telling you, we have buddy checks. We have a group of guys. Obviously our Legends community and the trust. The NFL is doing a great job of supporting us former has-beens, washed up athletes. But part of it is the mental side because we have a purpose when we're playing the NFL. And then it disappears, and literally like overnight. Like you're playing one day, and the next day, I'll figure out retire, things will be fine. Not so much. Again, it depends on how long you play. Maybe you had a season-ending injury or something. So we'll get into a lot of the details. I'll share some personal experience about myself with this whole transition because it sucked. It was not fun at all. I was still married. It was a lot of depression, a lot of strange stuff. So, with that said, we're going to pause for a quick second for a word from our sponsor, and when we get back, we'll definitely dive right into this whole concept of where do football players, NFL football players, where do we belong in the society that we're rested into? We'll say, I don't know if there's another word for that. I want to say thrown into because it is kind of thrown into because it is night and day, like one day you're playing, the next day you're not. But we'll dive into a lot of that stuff. My story's a little different than that, but I'll share my personal experience, but very, very serious subject. The people, the normal average person in today's society has no clue what NFL football players, don't feel sorry for us. I understand that you're thinking, well, what's this guy whining about? Because he made millions of dollars playing in the NFL and now he's crying because he doesn't have a purpose. There's something to that. There's a little bit more. But again, I'm not going to play any sympathy card on myself. I didn't prepare myself very well at all for retirement. So that's my fault, all on me at that point. But let's share a word from our sponsor. And when we get back, we'll talk about a lot of the details with regards to purpose in NFL players when they retire from the sport. So here's a word from our sponsor.
At 3, we want to give you the true health benefits that you're paying for, something you can feel and see a difference quickly. Each product is packed with powerful plant-based nutrients that are combined through a proprietary curation process and then infused with innovative cellular absorption technologies to ensure the nutrients absorb into the cells for maximum wellness. The quality and effectiveness of our life-changing products is evident by their approval to be included in the well-known Prescriber's Digital Reference, or PDR. PDR has been a valuable resource to the medical doctors and providers in the healthcare community for decades. Our products are GMO-free, clinically studied, and third-party tested, all designed to support health and proactive wellness for everyone.
And welcome back. We're definitely involved with the whole concept of getting done playing football, right? So we fast forward to the point. And again, let me start off by this. We as football players have no idea how long we're going to play. I as a kicker, I'm like, yeah, I've got long span. Hopefully, if I'm kicking well and all that, so I've got a better chance of playing a lot longer than some of the other guys, obviously that get beat up and injured quickly. So I knew that I had an opportunity to have a long career. I did get 9 years in, 8 seasons, 9 years. My very last year officially in the NFL, I was on injured reserve. First time I've ever been put on injured reserve, but I didn't really play that year. And then the next year they released me by failed physical, and then I just figured I needed to retire. But that was, I guess, going back to my fault as far as not really knowing what I'm going to do. I'm like, I got money, I'm good, I'll figure it out, kind of thing. Well, that's kind of, guys we don't want to figure it out on the fly, even though I'm very impromptu. I just do things sometimes on the fly, but this is my life. And what some other guys were doing was they were preparing a lot for retirement, doing a lot of things in the off season where they would do maybe some internships here and there. Again, I'm thinking I'm a kicker. I'm thinking I'm going to have a long career in the NFL. Then my back had already kind of bothered me at that point, but I was dealing with it. I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of stubborn. I'm a dude, So I basically, I'm committed to playing football. I'm committed to helping my team out and winning games and doing the best that I personally can. But then, of course, my back issues, the way they happened and the surgeries that I had from that, I had eventually 4 back surgeries for my back, and that was really the main reason why I retired. I wasn't really ready to, but I thought, after I got released by the Giants by failed physical, even though I was kicking fine. My back was pretty healthy. I did everything I needed to do for the team. And actually I got an injury protection benefit from being released the way I did. That's another long story. I won't get too brief or too long with that. I'll be much more brief with that. But with regards to just how that happens, when the team, you get injured and you have a surgery for the injury and you do everything the team's required of you to do, and then they release you by failed physical, you're able to apply for this injury protection benefit, which gives you some money for the following year that you're not playing, because of course they released me. So I was unemployed. And the Titans actually wanted me to come kick for them, and I could have just been a field goal guy because they had Craig Hentrick as a punter, kicker kind of guy. He was very good at both, but he could kick off. And so here I am thinking, I could go, but here's the deal: I would have, had I went in training camp with the Titans and then for some reason got cut, I would have lost out on that injury protection benefit. So I didn't really know how good my back was at the time, so I didn't want to risk it. And I thought, I definitely want to be on my feet when I get older. I don't want to be in a wheelchair or having to walk around a cane because of my back, the way it was. So I had, my reasons for retiring, but again, I didn't prepare real well. But part of it, and this is really the main point I want to make about this in this episode, of course, with the mindset of what happens to retired NFL players. When we retire, we had a purpose. We had, we had attention. I'm not interested in, having all kinds of attention like some guys. I appreciate it. I get that. And as a short kicker in the NFL, I looked, no pun intended, I was looked over quite often. But after games, I'd walk right out in the middle of a crowd because they're looking for Baselli and all these taller guys that they can see. And here I just kind of sneak right through the crowd, and they don't even know who I am. So that was kind of a okay deal, I guess. But it is cool to be someone important, someone that's important on a football team, someone that the fans and the people in the city that they respect. We have a purpose. Yes, we have a purpose for our team as a teammate, as a certain position while we're playing, but we also have a purpose for the city and the coaching staff, and just we have a role to play, and we're relied upon. Okay, you have all those things that you have, and you think about it. There's a lot of things that we literally are put on a pedestal. Call us spoiled. I personally wasn't that spoiled back in the day. Yeah, we were compared to the rest of the industries around the world, I guess. But with regards to just having a purpose and having really a meaning, and having and serving a role every single day, and having a commitment and being accountable for others and having others accountable for you, being on a team, I can go on. There's a million things that are around you when you're playing in the NFL. There's press. You got to talk to press all the time. There's all the kinds of opportunities for investments. Most of them are bad. I looked over most of them and say, no, I don't like this one. Some of them are good. I've been burned on a few. So again, we're in the limelight. We get a lot of attention, and then it stops. It literally just ends. Say for example, someone got a career-ending injury. Yes, they got to go through rehab, thinking they might play again, but the odds are, based on whatever the injury that was, chances are pretty slim you're going to come back and play. Well, guys try. Believe me, we do. And heck, when I had my second back surgery, it was in the middle. Actually, that's after the first couple games of the year, back in '99, I believe. Yeah, it was '99. I was played in the first couple games of the season. And right before the third game of the season, I couldn't, as my back was shot. The next day, the Sunday morning, I'm thinking I'm going to play, and I didn't sleep well at all. I get up the next day, and I'm like, guys, I can't even do this. I can't even stand up without excruciating pain going down my left leg. And I can't, there's no way. So I was admitted to the hospital that same day. On the Sunday I'm supposed to play, I literally had to watch that game against the Cincinnati Bengals. We had a guy by the name of Steve Lindsay, who was a kickoff specialist at the time that filled in for kicking the field goal. So that worked out great. But I watched the game that I'm supposed to be playing in from a hospital bed, waiting for a surgery the next day. So yeah, that sucked. So, but I missed that game, and then I missed only 3 more. So I only missed 4 games in the middle of the season when I had 2 levels of disc herniation, rupture. I had laminectomy, discectomy on 2 different levels of my lower back, and I still came back and played after only missing 4 games. So with regards to just kind of having that mentality of being at the top of the world in a sport that you worked really hard for, you earned, you've got all kinds of fans and people in city, they're all relying on you, and you got to make those game-winning kicks. And fortunately, I'll say not unfortunately, fortunately for myself, I was able to make all of them for the most part. Maybe I missed one my rookie season, I guess, my first year guy, when I was first year player for the Jaguars in '95, the very first season. I missed a long 55-yard field goal against the Bears to win the game at the end of very end of the game. But other than that, I don't think I missed any as far as I can remember. Clearly don't want to remember those, but but my point is, we had a purpose. We had a meaning. We had people looking up to us. We had the ability to change people's lives, and we still kind of do in a sense. Or like this, hopefully I can inspire people, because I'm very, very active in proactive wellness and the mental side of this is the wellness, this is the mental wellness. I'm kind of sharing with you guys today about what it's like as a former player. And again, it has a lot to do with that purpose, and we lose the purpose. And again, going into my retirement, because I didn't prepare much, I thought, I'll just figure it out when the time comes. Time came, and I kind of, I moved back to Jacksonville after spending 7 years here, and then 2 years, one with the Bills, one with the Giants, and then I moved back to Jacksonville, bought a big house, retired. Okay, so I don't have the income except for the income protection benefit, which was only 1 year. So I had some money coming in my that last year. I was retired officially, but I still had some money coming in. But after that year, then the money stopped. So now I'm kind of like, okay, I got retirements coming in, but again, you don't want to rely on those retirements, because we got 3 of them. We have 3 of them. Then, and the first one you can actually collect at the age of 30 or 5 years after you retire. I retired at the age of 32, and so I had to wait till I was 37 before I think it was 35. you can take it at the age of 35 or 5 years after you retire. I retired at 32, had to take it at 37. My point is I was able to get some money, it was a little bit of a retirement, but I need to join the real world. I made some decent money, not like they're making now. So again, you can think of some guys that played in the NFL, these days, and man, some of these guys get these massive contracts, and they're pretty much set for life. They don't really have to work as long as they invest properly and all that. But we can get burned doing that as well. So getting into the whole concept of the purpose and what we miss, when you come off the field, when you retire, there's some depression because you think. One of my first reactions, I moved back to Jacksonville. I'm still going to hang out with the guys. Still know a lot of the guys in the locker room. Well, after going to Buffalo and then went to the Giants, playing a year, with the Bills and then with the Giants. So I'm gone for basically 2 seasons. When I came back and walked through the locker room in Jacksonville, the Jaguars locker room, I didn't recognize half the guys in that room. Like, wow, that's a lot of new guys. And then the year after that, they kind of got rid of a lot of the guys. And eventually I'm to the point where I don't know anybody in the locker room. And so, but my point is I figured, I'd come back and it would be just, I'd be the, just another buddy, maybe I'll get involved with the current guys. And boy, that was way off. They don't really invite us to practice as much. And if we do, it's only like one practice per year. And it's during training camp when there's nothing special about us being there other than that we can stand on the field and be closer to the players. But that was practice, man. Practice. I didn't want to stand around practice. I did that as a kicker, stand around at practice, So, it's kind of those things. There are opportunities for us to kind of get out and socialize with the city and do some appearances. Which with the Jaguars legends, with every team has a legends community now, and they're basically the former players that still kind of live in the area that are able to kind of help the team out with appearances and just kind of show face and be around and support the team and do whatever they need us to do. And I enjoy that, I really do, but. That doesn't benefit me in a sense. Sometimes we get paid for those. Most of the time we don't. Some markets are a lot bigger. The New York market, maybe California, some teams, maybe, LA area or now Vegas or even the Vegas, I said Vegas, just some of the areas, the bigger markets. Dallas is a big one too. Those bigger markets, those players, I'm sure you get paid some decent money doing some appearances. We're not quite there yet. But my point in saying all that is, really, getting back to my subject of when you retire and the purpose is lost, like you're trying to figure out what your purpose is. And that's mentally draining. And even to this day, I find myself kind of daydreaming sometimes thinking like, what could I have done, better when I retired, or where would I be now if I had just spent some time in a certain industry prior to retiring, or just, but again, it all comes back down to really the purpose. Now, of course, after I retired, my wife at the time did some stuff, and literally this was like less than a year after I retired from football. I catch her in, some things, and she was my high school sweetheart. Right. So again, I don't want to get too detailed with all that, but I was like, wow. So talk about depression. Talk about like, wow, this is the reward I get for bringing in all this money for 9 years and then retiring, thinking that, oh, we're gonna live this life together. We're gonna just continue on with our lives, raise our kids, and then she does that kind of stuff. So again, it was very, very tough for me. We didn't get divorced over that. I was we'll still married for maybe like 6 more years after that, but. My divorce, when that officially now it all kind of came down like, okay, we need to really end this. And that was very depressing for me. And so you think, we're not on top of the world. We're, people, sometimes they treat us like we have no, no breaks, like we can do anything we want to do. And we'll get anything we want to get because we were spoiled back in the day. That I can promise you is not the case. Now there's some guys that, big name guys that get a lot of stuff. And that was where I was going to when I moved back from Jacksonville. I'm thinking, well, heck, I was there for 6-7 years in Jacksonville as a kicker. I know a lot of people. I know a lot of business owners, and I've done a lot of cool things for these business owners. I've done appearances, things like that. And so I figured that at least I would have some opportunities, whether it was something that I wanted to do or not, or something, but that's the thing is like, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I was kind of hoping and relying on somebody to say, hey, you're really good with your, speaking, you get on TV or whatever the case may be. But that never happened. And so other guys, I saw it, from the outside, looking in, that these other guys got opportunities and I didn't. But again, I can't feel sorry for myself. I'm just a regular dude now, and I'm needing to find a purpose and live my life and raise my kids. And that's another thing too. Of course, my kids were 13 and 10 or 11, somewhere in that area, around the time that I retired, maybe a little bit younger than that, I guess. But so there's still some stuff I could do with my kids, but I still had to work. And so that was a very big challenge. And really, going back to the whole moral of this point is the fact that, the purpose that we had as football players is not there anymore. So we kind of have to find purpose again. And one thing, a guy by the name of Don Davey, you might recognize the name. He played in the NFL for many years for the Packers and for the Jaguars. This dude owns, I think he's the number one, he owns the most Firehouse Subs franchises than any other franchisee owner does, because he actually finances the owners of Firehouse, well, the old owners of that company. He financed their money, right? So Don mentioned at one point, he said, listen, you don't understand what happens with us. The longer NFL players play, yeah, we make more money and it's great. But if you're just an average guy, and by the time I retired, I wasn't making much money. I was just on very minimal, I think it was basically minimum wage. I had my Pro Bowl year and I got a long-term 4-year deal with that. That was the biggest money that I made during my whole 9 years NFL career, was just 4 of those 9 years. So the other 5, I was pretty much minimum wage kicker. So again, I didn't make that much money compared to some of the other guys. So the longer I played, though, and the longer anybody plays in the NFL, if they're more, obviously if they're like Peyton Manning's or guys that got paid a lot of money, then it is going to work out. They don't have to find something to do, and they're going to get something to do because of their name and all that. Well, I wasn't either one of those. I didn't have a lot of the money that these guys made, and I didn't have a big name for myself that I would just be given opportunities like some of the other guys did that I saw. So I kind of had to work for it. But my point is, the longer you're out of the NFL, the longer you're playing football is the longer time away from what it is you went to college for. So your peers, your colleagues in college, your classmates, the guys that and the ladies that you graduated college with, they get their diplomas and they go off and they start their lives with whatever degree they have. That's really what their roadmap was. Well, ours was a little different. Yes, I got my degree. I went back after my first year in the NFL and did my internship and got my degree. But I played like 9 years, so I'm out of that industry and that realm for 9 years. And so again, the longer you're out of what your college classmates are doing or what you went to college for, the longer, the more out of it you are. When you retire, like the last thing I wanted to do is I can't really use my degree other than just it says I have a degree. I mean, if I'm getting it was a physical education in kind of more or less health and wellness for the most part was my degree. Yes, I'm doing stuff with it. I'm not using my degree for this stuff. Everything that I'm doing now is pretty much entrepreneur stuff that I've kind of figured out on my own and kind of learned business on my own for the most part. But ultimately, we are so far behind everybody else. And so we have to kind of start over. And so again, you're like, man, what am I going to do now if you don't get those opportunities? And so that's a tough one for a lot of players. We lose purpose. That depresses us. We now are having to find something to do to make money. And, do you go back to college? And again, I could have done that. I wasn't a big fan of school. I'll be honest with you. I played football, and got fortunate enough to get into the NFL. But at that point, I'm thinking my career, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to make this. I'm a kicker. I got in, I'm pretty good. I'm going to try to milk this as much as I can, not milk it, but play and earn a great income by playing and doing the best I can. But what I didn't realize, of course, when I retired, I didn't realize how difficult it was going to be. It was and mine was a little bit, the Band-Aid was slowly ripped off of me. It wasn't a quick one, because I didn't retire with a bad injury that I couldn't work at all. I got that injury protection benefit. So I had some time to chill and kind of figure out what I wanted to do. Some guys don't. They just let their paycheck stop immediately. And those guys, they have to find something to do at that point. And mentally, what really, if you don't know what you're going to do and you're trying to, live a life and earn money for your family and help people out and do what you've always kind of done, you have to find a purpose. Now, okay, I'm very passionate about kicking. So a couple years after I retired, I started my kicking academy. So yeah, I've been doing that since I retired. So 18, 19, 20 years now, something like that. So yeah, that's a passion of mine. I don't make a lot of money in it. I do other stuff too. So it takes, and again, I don't want to spend all day long out in the sunshine on my feet. I'm 53 years old. Again, coaching does take a toll on your body. And I commend those guys that coach for so long, especially the NFL coaches that are out there all the time every year, and the time they spent at the office, it's crazy. So my point is though, that, with regards to just kind of trying to find something to do and whatever your passion is. Okay, so I can't play football anymore, but I can coach the position. Well, that's a minor thing because, there's guys that make some good, decent money doing it. I was not ever one of them. The form I teach is a little different, and some kids, I believe, and especially the younger generations these days, they feel a little bit more entitled. Like, oh, I need to get this now. I can't work on that kind of stuff yet, because I just want to get this down now, and so I can kick as best I can now. And it just doesn't work like that. So it's hard as for me as a coach to find athletes that are fully committed, because the way I teach and the things that I teach are different than most out there, and it goes against what you kind of your common sense thinks as far as what kicking is. And so it's a hard sell in that aspect, because I have to convince these guys that this form is good and it works, but it takes some time to develop. And so that was a struggle for me, and it still kind of is. My point is I didn't make a bunch of money doing that, and I still don't. It's actually, the older I get and the longer I've been doing it, the less kids I have, really, because it's just kind of like I'm doing other stuff and I don't have the time as much. But again, it's hard for kids to learn sometimes. And so, but again, I'm still passionate about it. I still can talk to you for hours about kicking. I can blow your mind on some physiological things that you think, wow, that's crazy how that happens. But anyways, going back to my point again, I do get sidetracked on these things, but you have to understand that it's very difficult for us players. And like I said, we have our, suicide prevention, again, guys that get in, especially the older guys that maybe played a position where they're getting banged up quite a bit. The CTE is a thing. We can be mentally challenged at times. Players that have had those concussions and have that traumatic brain injury over time, I don't think I have. I saw stars a couple times, but I'm not sure if I have any mental effects from the NFL, because again, I was a kicker. I didn't get hit too often, but I know the rest of the guys did. And it's hard. It's hard for us, the way we comprehend things sometimes and get a little rational, like thinking differently about some stuff. And again, one other thing too, and again, this doesn't have anything to do about purpose, but with athletes like myself, yes, we've done some things. We had the blood, sweat, and tears. We've put our pride and effort and everything into it, all the effort we could possibly do. And so when you see others fail and give up on stuff so easily, it's very frustrating, because I should have never played in the NFL based on my size and athletic ability, but I did because I was passionate about kicking and I wanted to do it. And so when you see people that have all the ability in the world to do things, and they just give up, it's tough. And again, my point is, sometimes I catch myself not feeling sorry for people, because I went through the ringer. I did things that people could never imagine. I played after, like I said, my back surgery, like back in the Monday Night Football game after my 4 weeks off, after back surgery. First game is against the Titans on a Monday night, and the first field goal is a 47-yard field goal out of the gate. I'm like, wow. But anyways, my point is that, playing was a struggle. And then when you retire, of course, it's mentally more of a struggle. Physically is not there, because, you're not getting beat up, and I'm not kicking footballs every day like I used to. But I am still working out and things like that. But it's the mental side of it that's really a challenge. And it's really a big struggle for a lot of athletes out there, and a lot of former NFL guys. So I just want to kind of raise some awareness, in a sense, where, as former NFL players, a lot of people think, he'll get it, or he can do this. He's fine. He's mentally strong. He can take care of himself. It's not that way. We do need companions. We do need help. We do need advice. We do need assistance. And we do need a purpose. If, again, my purpose at first was, kicking and coaching kicking because I had a passion for it. And then it kind of evolved into physical fitness and then health and nutrition. And now look at Zealous Wellness. Now I'm kind of plopped up a platform for people to kind of check out anything that is good for us and the things that I've experienced. And so, yeah, that's a passion for me now. But it took a while to find that purpose and passion for something else other than kicking, because I was still involved in kicking because I was coaching, and I still am to this day. So finding that purpose is very challenging. And so when you think about NFL players, when we retire, you got to, think about how much of a struggle it can be. And it could be for anybody, really. It's anybody who loses a purpose or goes through depression and gets really deep in that hole and needs a way out. That the way out is really just finding something that you love. And sometimes it's hard to do. I've twiddled my thumbs for years trying to figure out, other than kicking, what is it that I love to do? Because I didn't want to rely on just kicking and coaching for all this time. I wanted to do other stuff. And again, I'm all about helping people. So however I can help people, I would love to do. So with that said, I know this was kind of long and just kind of back and forth banter with regards to just kind of the concept of retiring and how we as NFL players feel. It is a challenge. It can be challenging for anybody who loses purpose. But I'm just saying from personal experience, we do instantly, for the most part, lose purpose and lose value. And we do feel bad. We're like, man, how can I be somebody again? Yes, you get out there in the community and sign autographs and people hoorah you and say, oh man, I remember back in the day you had that one field goal. It's cool to talk about. But it's not every day. It's not something that is going to keep me, plugging away. I want to, find a good purpose for myself, and I'm kind of morphing into this health and wellness aspect, which I hope you guys are enjoying as well. I definitely want to help as many people as I possibly can. So with that said, you guys enjoy your Monday night and go Jaguars and go Cam Little. That was an awesome kick. He has got a name for himself now, and then when he retires, he's going to be known as, well, hopefully it's still 68 yards by the time he retires. I think it will be. That's a tough one to break. That'll be there for a while. So with that said, I hope you guys have an awesome Monday night. Watch some football tonight and enjoy your evening. I have to go coach, and now it's really, really, really dark out there. So we're fortunate enough to be under the lights. So you guys have a great night, and we'll definitely see you back here next Monday night at 5:30 Eastern time. Take care.
Thank you for watching Zealous Wellness with Mike Hollis. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. See you next time.